Howdy, everybody. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Today is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, and the time is 5:30 p.m. We're here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. We do have a quorum present, so I'm calling the meeting to order. We will be convening into work session in the first floor conference room. The public is invited and encouraged to join us. Thank you very much.
So
We're here for the work session. Just to let everybody know, we're going to change the order on several items tonight just for the convenience of the public, so apologize for that in advance. We only have one item on work session, and that was to talk about the agenda. So do we have any discussions on the agenda items? Ramesh?
thank you, Mayor. On item 13, I saw the documents. So we are looking at like a 4% increase for Coppell residents. Is that what that is going to drive?
So you're talking about the masterpiece schedule for solid waste collection?
Yes, sir.
Kim?
Can you restate your question? Because
Yeah, I
couldn't
didn't-
hear it. It
was-
sounded like you said 4 persons.
4 percentage point.
4%.
No, it's 3%.
3%?
And that's in accordance with the contract that we have with Coppell.
Okay. And then there's a sheet with the rate for the container and then for the service. So is any of that changing from what it is today?
All of their rates increase 3% across the board.
Okay. So if we have a container already,
If you have a container already, you're not, and Louie can help me, if they have a container already, they're not being charged another fee for a container.
We don't charge for containers. Do you mean the commercial customers or?
maybe that was for commercial customers and I misunderstood. So,
So if you're looking at the roll-off services, those would be commercial, correct, Louie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And then you have the dumpsters.
okay, thank you.
Don was next.
Item number 9, just out of curiosity, wouldn't that typically just be on consent? Is there some reason we needed?
Yes, Because someone could not participate, Bijou, was disqualified, and at the time we put the agenda together, I didn't want to be voting on that item, having a conflict
Got it.
of interest,
Okay.
so we put it on the regular.
Okay.
If you wanted, you could move it.
Back to
Since he's
consent
not-
agenda.
Well, either way, I was just curious, because I thought usually, since we had already
Yes.
approved that, it would typically be on consent.
Normally, unless someone has voted against it at the,
So it needed to be
Oh,
separate,
okay.
if he was here, it would need to be voted on
yeah,
separately,
we
so he,
didn't understand, you wouldn't
I have
understand.
it, okay. And then item number 10, Wes, I was gonna give you a heads up, I would like to consult with our attorney in executive session on that item, so like before we open the public hearing, I guess I'm requesting that we recess into executive session to consult with Bob.
So I think appropriately, I'll open the public hearing and then we'll
Recess.
recess into executive
Okay.
session.
Do I need to call for it during the session, or?
No, if Wes will just
I
read
can-
the record, say I
Okay.
can request it by one of the
Okay.
councilmen.
I'll read it into the record and then we'll go into executive session.
Right.
Jim, are you next?
I'm eating my cookie, go ahead.
Agenda item L, the approval of the
L. Legislative agenda, yes. Callie. Mark was, can I ask you a question for you?
You can,
He was asking me, and I did not know, on the building construction materials section,
Yes.
was that in the original packet? Fair?
yes. I don't remember seeing it, but I couldn't go back and refer to it because my computer was wiped after the cyber issue.
Yes, that was in the original packet. So the only changes were we condensed the position statements. Otherwise, that is exactly how you saw it back in October.
Okay.
And the
But then-
previous 2 years.
But then weren't we gonna have a final discussion on that? On the version?
But that
before
was,
it was-
that's what we're having now. I mean, it's not,
But it's on the consent agenda. Can we
Yes.
remove it?
yes, we can. You want to move that off?
I would,
Okay.
specifically for that item. Everything else I'm good with.
And what's your concern with that item?
I think that, yeah, I think that the restriction we had on for all the masonry was a bad one and bad vision for Coppell. And I think you see the new buildings that have been constructed since the change in the law, they look much better, modern. You know, we've gotten out of the 80s and we're moving forward into the new millennium, finally.
I'm hesitant, the way that I don't know how the wording is currently set, but I just didn't want to see a metal building go up next to my house, so,
Well, your HOA will solve that.
yeah,
And
maybe
and that's where we need to keep them,
engaged.
yes, and make sure that they keep up their covenants and restrictions. You have to renew them every 30 years, I think, something like that. And we're-
And maybe figure out something that, because I'm not in an HOA.
Yeah.
Part of North Lake Woodlands isn't in one, so I don't know what we do, but I'm sure we'd come to some kind of decision on something. I mean, everything's kind of built, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's as big an issue, but.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Jim?
Consent F. I-
Yes.
Could I say a few words honoring Glenn?
Um, Absolutely. Here was,
Well, if you're gonna say something, you go ahead, but
well,
because it was on consent, I just thought I wouldn't be able to say anything.
oh, no, we have there's a agenda item, 6. So yes, you will be able to say.
Ah,
you will be
okay,
able to
sorry.
say whatever you want to.
He was lumped into the larger category. Thank you.
Yes,
Very nice.
taken care of.
Okay, good. Thanks, Wes.
Anything else? So on It has been suggested, as you may or may not be aware, item number 11 has been requested that we continue it to a meeting in January when we have the full members of the council present. So Mr. Hager has suggested, for the convenience of the audience, that we move it up before number 9 so that anybody sitting around waiting for that will know that it's going to be postponed. So I'll make that an announcement when we get started. And I do have language in case anybody would like to read it that would postpone or continue the public hearing to January 14th.
All good?
All right. Anybody have anything else? All right. Well, the time is 5:41 p.m. We're adjourned from work session, and we are going to move into executive session as soon as I go outside and call it. Good afternoon. The time is 5:42 p.m. We have recessed from work session and we'll move into executive session in the first floor conference room. At the end of the executive session, we will convene into regular session of the City Council at 7:30. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The time is 7:31 PM. We just adjourned from executive session, and we will be convening into the regular session of the City Council at 7:35. Sorry for the time delay, but we had a lot of things to cover tonight. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. The time is 7:36 p.m., and we're here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. Just as a reminder, persons wishing to speak during the citizens' appearance are multiple public hearings must sign the appropriate register located outside the council chambers and list your residence address. This evening, we have Anitha Sidwa with the Allies Interfaith Group here to give our invocation, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance, so please remain standing.
I begin with the name of Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Wisdom. Unfold yourself within us, O Lord. Through our devotion, give us steadfastness of purpose. Through your most bounteous Spirit, grant us goodness as a reward for our prayer. Through righteousness and wisdom, give us inner strength and grant us the trust of the people, accompanied by an all-embracing love for humanity. With your divine grace, O Lord, reveal to us your precious gifts of moral courage. Give us vision with good thinking. Illuminate our consciences and inspire us with ideas that are in harmony with the ultimate truth. In this house, may there be cooperation and peace. May generosity overcome pride. May words of wisdom and truth reign. And may order, harmony, and light inspire us to reach our goals. Strengthen us to be united and be mindful that we are all brothers and sisters in one great human family. And give us wisdom to see that our interests are best served by working for the welfare of all. May it be so as I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, item number 6 is a recognition of our outgoing boards and commission members. I would like first and Anika, I'm going to really mess up your last name, and I apologize for that. But Anika Varadhan, who is our youth member of the library board, please come forward.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I don't mess this up twice. Can you pronounce your last name for me?
Varadarajan.
I think I'm just going to call you Anika, if that's okay. So this certificate is presented to Anika in sincere appreciation of your time and efforts to the library board, given this 10th day of December 2024. And I've told the library board many, many times that when I've done interviews for the different boards and commissions, I love doing the library board because you folks are the most passionate people about what you do. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Now, are you a outgoing senior in high school or a sophomore? Why are you giving up on us?
I applied for a second term, but I unfortunately was not granted that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, keep trying. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity to serve my community. A little scared.
And the mic, they don't bite, though. It's okay. So thank you very much, and here's a certificate, and please keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay, next I'd like to invite Glenn Portman, and anybody you'd like to bring with you. I'm sorry to see you up here because it means that you're leaving town on us. Is that, what I hear?
We're retiring.
Retired. Well, I'm looking forward to that day someday in the next decade. Glenn was appointed to our Special Conduct Council in 2011, I believe. Was that right? And you were so busy on that you got moved into the Planning and Zoning Commission the next year in 2012.
Well, I got continued for a second term then.
And I noticed the date that you got appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission was in June of 2012. which was literally before I was ever on city council. So you've been serving longer than I have, so congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's
Um,
been an enjoyable experience.
Now, Glenn, you are an attorney,
Yes.
and you brought a legal expertise to the Planning and Zoning Commission that I know that many of your members liked and enjoyed and respected that opinion. And I believe a former member of the Planning and Zoning Commission who happens to be sitting behind us had a few words to say. So,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor
Walker?
Glenn. I just wanted to say it was a distinct privilege to serve with you. I always looked up to you. You always had the right answers, and your knowledge and the wisdom that you dispensed all the time I was there was greatly appreciated. And everyone in the town benefited greatly from all that you did.
Thank you. It was an enjoyable experience.
So, Glenn, this certificate of appreciation is presented to Glenn Portman in sincere appreciation of your time and efforts to the Planning and Zoning Commission given this 10th day of December 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for the council and city staff. Appreciate representing you. And I've always appreciated the audience in the planning meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 7 is our citizens' appearance. We did not have anybody signed up to speak, so I'm going to forego the reading of that. Item number 8 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is routine in nature and is generally enacted in one motion. These items have been previously approved through the budget or past council action. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. We do have consent agenda items 8A through 8M. We do want to move item L off and consider that separately. In addition, item number 9 on the regular agenda could be considered as part of the consent agenda if it were the will of the council. Do we have any items to pull besides item L? Seeing none, Councilmember Walker.
Mayor Mays, I move that we approve the consent agenda, items A through K, item M, and that we add item 9 as well to the consent agenda.
That is appropriate.
I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Prem Kumar. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill in favor, none opposed, motion carried.
Okay, consent agenda item 8L is consider approval of the 2025 legislative agenda priorities for the upcoming 89th legislative session. And I believe Mr. Hill had a couple of questions on that one.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was trying to pull that page up in the council packet. But this is the legislative priorities which we have listed. I did not see when we were going through the whole list, the item which addressed support for putting restrictions on building materials. In the past legislative sessions, they had removed restrictions on building materials, and I felt that that was an appropriate thing to do because in my mind, we had unnecessary restrictions here in the city of Coppell that required way too much masonry. And I think if you look at the newer buildings that are being constructed around Coppell, they're much more modern. We've actually joined the new millennium, and I don't believe that this is something that the city should put on our legislative priorities, to go back to the dark ages and restrict the material properties.
Kelly, I could ask you to come forward, please? Kelly. What did I say?
Yeah, that's.
No, I said Kelly. Mike doesn't understand my accent, so I apologize.
It's all right.
So do we have a copy of that, that we can refer to the section that Mr. Councilmember Hill is referring to?
Yes, let me grab that.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't access my email in the.
So regarding the building materials, correct? So the position statement is Coppell supports repealing or amending House Bill 2439, restoring city's authority to regulate building materials.
And Councilmember Hill, that's the one you would like to have removed completely?
Yes, that is absolutely the one. And then we were going to translate that into the postcards that we were going to be delivering when we make our visit down there.
Is that on the postcard? I gotta apologize, I did not read that.
2025
Yes, it's on the
legislative
postcard.
properties.
So if it was removed from the legislative
Priorities.
agenda, it would be removed from the postcard as well?
Correct. Now, you may have room to add something back, because I know the idea was that we were trying to condense the more important items.
Councilmember Prem Kumar, did I see you raise your hand?
Mayor, thanks. Maybe I didn't understand council members' objection. The way this is written right now, it's just saying that Austin should not interfere in local government's right to decide on the materials. I think that is consistent with what Councilmember Hill was saying. His point about the ratio of brick versus metal is not addressed in the language as it is written right now.
See, prior we had the ability to regulate building materials after they had changed the regulations. But now we're seeking to reverse that or support the reversal of it.
Which would then want to give cities the ability to regulate the building materials in their municipalities.
Precisely.
And that's what you're opposed to?
Yes.
Thank you.
Particularly as an architect and someone that appreciates design that has a modern flair to it.
Understand. The way that you can enact this would be to make a motion to approve item L less the section of the building code that Callie read, excuse me, I did do it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve item L and removing the support for the repealing of HB 2439.
Thank you. Do we have a second? For,
I was going to make a statement.
what's that?
I was going to make a statement, but I wasn't, I mean, I had something to say, but we got to the motion, so.
So,
No, it's no big deal.
It just dies.
We'll all survive without my
so
statement.
if we had a second, I could ask for discussion, but without a second, there's no discussion, so. All right.
It dies.
Motion dies for lack of a second. We still have item number L standing outside, requiring approval or not.
Can I make a statement? Can I say something?
Absolutely. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, okay. Yeah, I like the agenda, the priorities as they're stated. The only thing that I would add is that I hear what Councilmember Hill is saying about what we had in place with respect to building materials prior to the people in Austin deciding that they know better how to govern locally than we do and just gutting all of it. So I would be more than happy to consider updating our standards if the prohibition from Austin was removed. So I support removing the prohibition, but I'm also in support of having a fresh look at the standards that we had in place. And I place a lot of trust and value in Mark's views on all things architectural and construction. So I think the point he's making is valid, but as a standpoint of emphasizing the primacy for local governance over central command from Austin, I would like to see it eliminated. So for that reason, I support that and all the balance of the priorities as stated.
Thank you very much. After going through the design of the Art Center, I certainly appreciate your viewpoint on that, because the engineers and us didn't quite see eye to eye on the architectural design, but sometimes you guys are right. So I do appreciate Councilmember Walker as well, and I think it would probably be appropriate to request at some point this next year that we do a review of our building codes structure. So that I completely agree with. I am open for a motion on item L. Councilmember Walker.
I move that we accept and approve the 2025 legislative agenda priorities for the upcoming 89th legislative session as articulated by staff.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Prem Kumar. So I will ask for discussion on this one. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Nevels.
I'll take all the titles, sir. Thank you. I would like to, didn't get a chance to jump in, but I would like to amend one piece of the motion. It's under education funding. There is a brief, kind of description, and then under one it says, while not a municipal issue on its face, the continued underfunding of public education is unacceptable and impacts residents directly. I would like to add the sentence, the city of Coppell supports fully funding public education. I'd like to add that sentence to be very clearly stated. I feel like it's not clearly defined in that sentence, so I'd really like to come out with a punctuation on that.
All right, I take it that is a motion?
A motion to amend.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that? Seconded by Councilmember Walker. So we have an amendment to the motion to approve item L to add the quote, fully funding public education to the section on our position on public education. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, this is just a vote on the amendment, not on the motion, on the item itself. So all in favor of the amendment to add the wording fully funding public education, say aye or raise your hand.
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill, in favor. None
All
opposed,
right.
the motion carries.
Thank you. Now, looking for a motion on the amended item L.
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
You're right, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Discussion.
So we have an amended motion, thank you, on item number L, which is our legislative agenda with the addition of, to add the phrase fully funding public education to our section on public education. Any discussion? All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill, in favor. None opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much. And Councilmember Hill, remind me in a couple of months, and we'll bring this up for discussion again on a work session.
Absolutely, but it may not be necessary if the rules are not changed.
Thank you. That's true. All right. We're going to ask for a change in the order of sequence here. On item number 11, we have had a request by the applicant to postpone this or to continue the hearing to January 14th. So we would like to open the public hearing for item number 11, which is consider approval of PD 319 SF12 Lot 18, Block 4, North Lake Woodlands 3, a zoning change request from SF12, Single Family 12 to PD 319 SF12, Plan Development 319, Single Family 12 to approve an existing carport encroaching within the required side setback located at 552 Arbor Brook Lane at the request of Derek Bonneau, the property owner. This is a public hearing, and we do have one person that has signed up to speak for this item, and that's Mr. Bonneau. Sir, we will have a continuation of this on January 14th. You're welcome to speak tonight or in January.
Good.
All right. Thank you very much. We do have a motion to continue this to January 14th. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I make a motion? I will move to open the public hearing. Oh, you got
The public hearing is already opened.
All right, then. I move to continue the public hearing and consider of zoning matter in agenda number 11 until our next regular meeting, which is January 14th at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Councilmember Prem Kumar. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Neville, Prim, Kumar, Hill in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you January 14th. All right, item number 10 is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. This is consider approval of PD 313R MF12 Lake Breeze Condominiums, a zoning change request from C Commercial to PD 313R MF12 2, Plan Development 13 Revised Multifamily 2 to approve a detailed site plan for a 71-unit, 4-story condominium apartment complex on approximately 4.4 acres located on the east side of South Beltline Road and the west side of Sanders Loop, approximately 660 feet south of East Beltline Road, and an amendment to the 2030 Comprehensive Master Plan from Mixed-Use Community Center to Urban Residential Neighborhood at the request of Coppell Lake Breeze LLC, being represented by Greg Frinka, GPF Architects LLC. I am requesting an executive session to consult with our city attorney at this time. Yes, I do. Somewhere. Yes.
reading up on the competition.
All right, thank you very much for your patience, everyone. We're on item number 10. The public hearing is open. The item has been read into the record. So I will turn this over to Mary Perone Boswell for the presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is item 10. This may look familiar to most of you, but this is a different request from what has previously come before you. This is not an age-restricted project. It is less dense. It has 71 units versus the 120 units in the previous proposal, as well as meeting the parking requirements for MF2. So this is a two-part request. Part one is a detailed site plan for a 4-story, 71-unit condominium product on approximately 4.4 acres. The second part requires a change to the future land use map from mixed-use community center to urban residential neighborhood. So here we're taking a look at the site plan. The proposed building is 58 feet in height, 4 stories, and contains 71 condo units. Condominium units, meaning individual units, are for sale. The applicant has indicated that a condo board will be developed for the property. The board will address all maintenance of the building and site amenities. The property is L-shaped, and the building matches it with the site plan showing the L-shaped building being offset from South Beltline Road, approximately 159 feet, 25 feet from Sanders Loop to the east, and 66 feet from the northern property line. The southern portion of the property has an Amos gas line easement that runs through it. You'll see it on the green on the exhibit, and is 100 feet at its widest point. The main entrance will be off South Beltline Road. To the north is the Dart Silver Line passenger rail that is under construction. They are meeting the base MF2 apartment requirements related to parking. They're proposing to provide 4 EV parking areas among the 202 spaces that are to be provided. As recently described, this 4-story, 58-foot in height building requires a PD condition since the allowable number of stories and height for MF2 is 2 stories and 35 feet. So this will be 4 stories and up to 58 feet. Because of the property constraints, parking is being provided on the northern portion of the site, with a parking in the front yard being requested. They are providing covered parking for more than half of the site through a combination of podium parking and covered parking, which exceeds the requirement. Another PD condition is to allow 39 3-bedroom units, which is more than the typical 10% listed for MF2. So the 39 would equal about 55%. I'm going to pass down this material board for you to look at. The building elevations and material board show a variety of materials and colors proposed for this building. There are 3 brick colors proposed, ranging from a light cream to a darker beige, cement plaster, a limestone, and aluminum composite material. So here we have some colored renderings of the building. The first floor parking area will have the limestone with cement plaster in the 2 residential units on the first floor. The other floors will be a combination of cement plaster with a blended brick in a herringbone pattern, brick accent, and ACM panels. Each unit will have an inset balcony, meaning it doesn't protrude but is inset into the unit, with a steel sun canopy. There are no proposed signs for this development, so any proposed signage will need to conform to city requirements. So the room breakdown is 71 units. They'll have 32, they're proposed to have 32 2-bedroom units with a minimum 1,300 square feet, 39 3-bedroom units with a minimum 1,600 square feet, which will all be accessed from an air-conditioned interior corridor. There are 2 units proposed on the ground floor. The remaining will be spread out through the 2nd and 4th floors and will be accessible by stairs as well as 2 elevators. As I mentioned earlier, there is a PD condition to allow the 39 3-bedroom units, which is more than the typical 10% listed for MF2. They are proposing an area on the main floor as a multi-purpose room for residents to use, about 2,100 square feet. They are also proposing a walking trail on the roof, and there will be a minimum 42-inch parapet there. Staff is requesting that they provide a small mail area on the floor plan. Proposed exterior amenities include a dog park, a fire pit with seating area, a water feature with a seating area, a butterfly garden, and 2 flex sport/game areas. So those are all identified by the color coding on the screen there. A tubular picket fence with brick columns spaced 30 feet on center is proposed along the north and west portion of the property where it abuts commercial. So the 3rd floor of this complex is proposed to be in line with the train tracks for DART. There's approximately 82 feet separation from the building to the tracks. So from the DART site, they anticipate weekday service for the Silver Line to be from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. However, it's possible that the hours could be as early as 5 a.m. and as late as 11 p.m. The Silver Line will run every 60 minutes, and during peak hours, such as weekday commute times, will run every 30 minutes. This line should be in operation in late 2025 to mid-2026. As you know, the train lines are under construction, and the tracks are elevated in this particular section. Measuring from the ground to the bottom beam of the track is about 19 feet, another 7 feet of support, an additional 3 feet to the handrail on the tracks. This lines up roughly with the 3rd floor of the proposed complex. The applicant is proposing to provide some sound-reducing windows on the north and west sides of the building. Staff has added a condition to the recommendation that if this building is constructed, that all windows on the building be sound-reducing, not just those on the north and west side of the building. And they are providing more than the typical construction requirements to address noise. When we take a look at the landscape plan for this project, the site exceeds the minimum requirements. A large portion is in the Atmos gas easement and about additional 21% outside of the easement. They are proposing 65 overstory trees and 20 accent trees on this site. And just so you know, you can't really plant anything on the Atmos easement if you're looking at the screen and wondering why there's no trees there. The master plan, the 2030 master plan calls for this area to be mixed-use community center or single-family residential with a maximum density of 10 units per acre. The area was to be mixed use consisting of both neighborhood and community serving commercial, retail, and office uses, or medium-density single-family urban residential with commercial services and transit services accessible within a short walking distance. The area is currently served by office warehouse buildings to the west, Cypress Waters to the east, a bank to the south, and a new DART Silver Line passenger rail abutting the northern boundary of this property. So part of this request is to amend the future land use plan for this site to urban residential neighborhood, which would allow for higher density residential uses that serves the needs of residents seeking alternatives to low and medium density single-family detached housing. The idea is to have a mix of housing with the majority being owner-occupied and not all rentals. So condominiums are a form of ownership where it is individually owned residential unit in a complex or building of like units. So they would own their units but share common spaces and amenities. There was a question brought up as to kind of what's on the Cypress Water side of things. So this is taken from the Cypress Waters Master Plan. So it shows a variety of retail, future office, and other property owned by CISD. So this is a public hearing. We did mail out notices within 200 feet as required by state law, additional courtesy notices within 800 feet, and we received no responses. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval subject to the following PD conditions. One, that there may be additional comments during the building permit and detailed engineering review. Two, that a replat would be required. Three, that the installation of a southbound left turn decel lane on Beltline Road at the existing median openings to serve this site. Four, that building elevations be approved as presented. However, building must provide for noise attenuation for all the windows on the building as well as all exterior walls, including the continuous insulation on the outside of the studs with a minimum R19 insulation. Number 5, that site lighting shall meet City of Coppell requirements. Excuse me. 6, to allow for parking as shown on the plans. 7, to allow for 4 stories and a height up to 60 feet. 8, to not restrict the number of 3-bedroom units to 10% and allow the 39 proposed units. Number 9, to amend the future land use plan to urban residential neighborhood. 10, to require the HOA documents prior to filing the plat. And then at Planning and Zoning Commission, we had added an 11th condition that the applicant work with the fire department to realign the fire lane located at the Beltline entrance to accommodate the ladder truck. So we have looked at number 11, and that has been worked out. That is the end of my presentation. I'm available for questions, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Ms. Boswell, can you go back to the slide where you had this property in comparison with Cypress Waters? The next one, please. Yes. So if I'm understanding that right, all of those units with the dark brown are multifamily mid-rise, which is similar to what is being asked?
You're talking about what's in Cypress Waters?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is taken from their master plan, and it does appear that the brown would be their multifamily mid-rise apartments.
Which would be comparable to this property, correct?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Carroll.
Can you just clarify one thing? When we
Yeah.
talk about future land use plan, and we would be amending it to where more majority being owner occupied and not all rentals, is there actually, that's just sort of an overlay though. That's not some kind of official legal restriction or anything, right? Or no requirement. It is.
Oh, about the ownership portion of it?
Well, when we talk about changing the future land use map, there's no way, it's not anything enforceable, anything that
Well,
has
you
to be
would-
a certain
You would
amount
have
of
to
owner occupied.
approve the land use map change in order to approve this type of zoning.
Okay,
But it doesn't, I'm not sure how you can affect the ownership portion of it.
okay, and that's what I wanted to clarify, that there wasn't, while the land use map would call for a majority being owner occupied, there would not necessarily be any way to enforce that if it didn't happen, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what just wanted to clarify, thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Perone Boswell? The applicant is in the audience. Mr. Franca, did you have anything you would like to say?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Ms. Boswell, Greg Franca, GPF Architects, 721 Dove Circle, Coppell, Texas. A few things I was just going to clarify. As you said, this was originally in the 2030 plan, mixed use. plan. So it always had the residential development, even though the mixed-use portion is no longer in effect. There was some discussion a year ago about all the acoustics. And can you hear me okay? This is.
Yes.
And as you see areas around the DART stations, that's where developers go and build mixed use. Look at the switchyard in Carrollton, just down the street. Go to Mockingbird Station, you got to Plano at 15th Street, all mixed use going up around the train stations. So I think this is somewhat an appropriate development considering DART's right there, and DART is going very slowly as it comes through the industrial district, over the hill, over the bridge. So it's not going to be a 60-mile-an-hour train going down the track. But we will be doing a triple pane windows on the north sides, the west side, and now all sides. So that's a much higher STC rating, plus a better solar heat gain value to it. And plus, we put a lot of the building use functions right on the north side, the stairs, electric room, trash room, things of that nature, where there's no residents that back right up to the train tracks. There will be a monument sign on the belt line, and that's in the plans right there. That's the only signage on the site. There will be mail areas in the lobby. The lobby area just hadn't been designed yet. And there's mixed use spaces inside the first floor, and that's still to be determined by the HOA and weekly events that are planned by the HOA, things like that. And then Atmos, we talked with them at length of what can we do on that site, and they say nothing. And if you do want to do something, you have to jump through all kinds of engineering hoops, and it's just really not feasible. They do have a list of plants, but then if you can't irrigate it, what's the use? So it'll just be landscape or sod. Really, that's all I wanted to address, unless you have any additional questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Franca? Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Mr. Franca, in one of your slides, you say majority is going to be owner occupied. And I think you heard some of our questions here. What kind of enforcement policy that you plan to have majority of it owner occupied?
I mean, there'll be the HOA documents, and that's in the attorney's hands right now, developing those documents. I don't know if it's legal to enforce. If somebody wants to buy multiple units, if they want to live in one and rent some out, I don't know how they can enforce not doing that, just as if a venture capital buys up your block and rents out all the houses. You know, I don't know if it's legally feasible, but if it is, and maybe Mr. Walker has some insight on that, if it's feasible, it can be put into the documents as such. But if it's not legal, you know, we don't want to put it in the HOA documents.
Mr. Franca, one more question. What plans does this ownership plan to have to maintain the long-term amenities and facilities of the entire structure?
Again, that's the HOA will be overseeing that, just as there are strong HOAs in Coppell and some are not so strong. I know the north side, they have a very stringent HOA, and that area is immaculate. But it's all in the documents to maintain everything from air conditioning units to landscape, building facade, cleaning, you name it. It'll all be under the control of the HOA.
Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about so we're talking about changing the zoning from a commercial to a residential type piece of property. Is there data to support that this particular property in this location actually would be a magnet for people to actually want to come live? I mean, at the moment, there isn't anything around there, but I guess what is the data that actually supports that this should be a residential area rather than the way it's zoned currently?
Well, I think the proximity to the, first of all, proximity to the DART station is going to be a draw for people. And then, as we saw on that previous map, where they have the mid-rise mixed residential, the brown buildings, if you can go back to that, Mary. Billingsley wouldn't be planning that if she didn't have the information that would support all that. And, you know, the CISD land right there, 17 acres, well, now it's cut right in half with a train track through it. So I don't think they'll be putting a school there anytime soon. And I don't know if they're going to sell it off. It's within the city of Dallas, but they may sell it to a developer who could put more mixed use or mid-rise right there. We don't know what's going to happen to that CISD property. But again, just to the east, within short walking distance, you have the same use over and over and over and over.
Okay. And then switching and sort of piggybacking on one of the other questions from the HOA standpoint, and just to sort of confirm what I think I heard you say, they're still in process, and so we don't know exactly the details of how the HOA will be set up or what will be in the documents that would sort of ensure the sustainability of this project long-term, correct? I mean, that's still in the works. Is that?
Documents are in progress right now.
Okay, so that's unknown at this point. Okay, thanks.
Council, any other questions for Mr. Franca? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next is a public, the public hearing. So persons wishing to speak during this public hearing must have signed up the register and list their address. You'll be called to speak in the order you've registered. You're limited to 5 minutes per speaker. We did have one person signed to speak, and that's Nicholas Erlinger. I hope I have the last name correct. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Nicholas Erlinger, address 1720 West Virginia Street in McKinney is just the work address. I'm just a civil engineer on the property. I don't have anything to expand beyond Greg's presentation, but just here to answer any engineering-related questions. And yeah, that's all I have. One brief item of note from the presentation that's super minor from a civil standpoint. We aren't currently proposing any parking in the front yard. If that's easier to leave in, it offers additional flexibility as we get into engineering review. So my preference would be to leave it in if it's not a sticking point, but currently we're not proposing it. So if it's a sticking point, no big deal. And if it's not a sticking point, we can leave it in and it offers us some flexibility if we need additional parking later on.
Council, any questions for Mr. Erlinger? Seeing none, thank you. All right. Any comments or other questions council has or wish to make? Councilmember Hill.
You know, I believe that high-density multifamily housing nor single-family housing is appropriate for this location, and the property should remain zoned as it currently is, commercial.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I will accept a motion. Mayor Pro Tem Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve, I move to close the public hearing and approve agenda item 10 with conditions listed.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Prem Kumar, opposed. Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Hill. The motion fails.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Item number 12. This is a public hearing. Consider the reauthorization of building permit fees for construction, renovation, remodeling of a structure. And this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Mr. Schubert.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Steve Schubert, building official for the City of Coppell. We were asked to bring forward a presentation regarding readopting our building code fees or building permit fees as required by Section 214.908 of the Texas Local Government Code. You go to the next slide. Effective January 1st, 2024, this section requires the readoption of the fees every 10 years. At this time, we are not recommending any changes to the permit fees or anything of that nature. This is just a reorganization of it in order to make it more user-friendly for staff as well as the general public. Oh, thank you. We have also deleted some fees that are no longer relevant. These are basically the changes that have occurred, separating them out, removing fees that are no longer relevant, and remove energy code inspections that we don't even perform. We did make a comparison, not just in 2022, but of this year as well, to our comparison cities to see if there were any justifications for making any changes. We did not find any. We're basically on par with our comparison cities. We're a little less expensive than most of them, as a matter of fact. And that is the termination of my 690-page presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that you did the comparison with respect to the amounts that we charge in relation to the other cities. Did you notice or were you able to discern the extent to which we have more types of fees or permit fees than the other cities, or do they have a greater number of different fees? How do we rate in terms of just numerosity with respect to the different types of permits and stuff that we're...
No, unfortunately, that is a very broad spectrum. There are some municipalities that break everything down into such minute detail simply because that's the functionality of their permitting system. Their permitting system, if you are putting in an electrical panel, well, that's going to have a different line item fee charge than electrical service. Our permitting software doesn't break it down to such minutia, so it's easier for us to keep a smaller number of fees that covers a larger spectrum of work.
And despite that, we're still comparable on the amount we're charging?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Schubert, for my education, when someone needs a permit, do they have to come in person, or can they apply for it online, or both options?
Either or, whichever is going to be easiest on them. We have our customers' self-service portal on our website that they can do everything from home or on their phone or smart device, whatever is easiest for them. We also have a lot of customers who just prefer to do it in person. They prefer the human touch, and they like to come down, and we'll scan stuff in. We'll help them generate their customer profile and get their permit applied for.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing, and no one signed up to speak, so we'll forego the reading of the text there. Any other comments by council? I just had one. Probably the only time I hear from anybody is when they're not happy. So, you know, and I get very few complaints. So I think your statistical data comparing to the neighboring cities is probably valid. You know, I've never heard that we're out of line. And in fact, the only time I've ever been hit up was some years ago when I was asked if one of our rental fees, which has nothing to do with your building code, was out of sight. And I said, well, I don't think, you know, $8 a month is too high. And they were going, well, we're talking about cities that charge $1,200 a year. So I think we're in good shape. So thank you for your study.
Thank you.
Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to close the public hearing and for approval of item 12 on the agenda.
And I have a second by Councilmember Hinojosa Smith. And thank you for telling me I was talking too long, so thank you. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Neville's, Prim, Kumar, Hill. In favor, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 13 is Ms. Tien is coming down, and I'm going to let her read this into the record.
Thank you. Consider approval of a resolution amending resolution number 010996.3 as amending the master fee schedule for solid waste collection fees per the contract with Republic, amending Chapter 15, Coppell City Code buildings of the master fee schedule respectively, and authorizing the mayor to sign. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is typically included on the consent agenda because items included in the master fee resolution have either been approved by council or council has provided direction. This item is placed here on the agenda since legislation required the public hearing on the building fees charged by the city. The public hearing was just held, and this item is to confirm the results of the public hearing and any direction or previous approvals provided by council. So basically, the purpose of this item is to match council's actions and guidance with paperwork. Specifically, the master fee schedule is being amended to include the 3% annual adjustment included in the current solid waste contract with Republic. The 3% adjustment is effective January 1st and will move the solid waste fee for residents from $19.33 to $19.91, which is an increase of 58 cents per month or $6.96 for the year. The senior rate adjustment moves the fee from $17.39 to $17.92, a 53-cent increase per month or $6.36 per year. The commercial rates shown in the resolution also reflect a 3% increase. And again, this change is effective January 1st of 2025 and is consistent with the contract with the Republic that was renewed by council on September 22nd of 2020. This is an example of the resolution updating the master fee schedule for council's actions. The other change to the master fee schedule is related to the public hearing just held, and as mentioned during the introduction to the public hearing, no building permit fees are changing. The resolution updating the master fee schedule includes the changes that were presented during that public hearing. The community development team and I are here to answer any of your questions.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions? Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Ms. Tien. Great presentation as always. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that the increase in the fee schedule with respect to the solid waste collection is we're within the term of our contract with the Republic, and this is necessitated by an automatic escalation that's part of our contractual agreement with Republic. That we're simply reflecting in this increased fee.
That is correct.
Because we're paying Republic more as per our agreement with them.
So the city does not pay the fees to Republic. Citizens pay those fees, and the fees that we pass along to the citizens are contractual obligations.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Ms. Tien? Mayor Pro Tem Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve agenda item 13.
Seconded by Councilmember Hill. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Neville's, Prim, Kumar, Hill. In favor, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 14 is consider approval of a resolution casting votes for the Board of Directors for the Dallas Central Appraisal District and the Denton Central Appraisal District and authorizing the mayor to sign. This is listed as a city council discussion. So we typically have never, well, the appraisal districts have recently undergone a change in the way that members are elected. So we are starting to get some reach from different people looking to be elected. Was anybody on the council approached by any members of the board? I was approached by a mayor of the city of Lancaster, Clyde Harrison. Mayor Harrison is very vocal about how you pronounce the name of his town, and he has corrected me multiple times, so I will hopefully get it correctly from now on.
I was chastised as well, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem was chastised as well?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm not feeling alone. Seeing that I don't have a vote in the matter, I would ask for some consideration that Mayor Harrison be included in our vote. Other than that, I will leave it to council decision. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor. I would actually echo your support for Mayor Hairston. I not only does he, I think, have a long tenured career in municipal government, including, I think, approaching 20 years on council and as mayor of his city. I think he's just, he is a fine human and a fine individual with the demeanor that you would need in this type of role. So I would wholeheartedly support casting our votes for Mayor Hairston also.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember Carroll, I will take a motion from you then.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to, we're not really approving item 14 here, are we? I move that we cast our votes for Dallas Central Appraisal District for Mayor Hairston of Lancaster.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Mayor Pro Tem, second. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Neville's, Prem Kumar, Hill in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. As just a comment, as people get used to the way that the appraisal districts are electing members, I think we will start to see more of this going forward in the future. So, from appraisal district, it's a healthy thing, I think.
Mayor, quick question.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just on this item, the discussion was on Dallas Central Appraisal District and Denton. Do we have any action on Denton County? I didn't know if we were required.
We already.
Yeah, fair.
I think for Denton County, we have 3 votes. For Dallas County, 35 votes, and Denton County, 3 votes.
Yeah. But
I was trying to remember if we had done, that's here. We did, okay, that's what I was remembering.
We already nominated somebody for the Denton County.
I just want to confirm that we didn't need to do any other action because on the memo on the October 8th meeting, we had that, so.
Yes, so you would need to take action in order to actually vote for Mr. Martin,
So we need to go ahead and
if you would like to.
Mr. Martin is a resident of Councilmember Matthews' area, and Councilmember Matthew was the one that had proposed him, so for Denton County. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to nominate, make a,
Cast our vote.
like to cast our votes for Raymond Martin for the Denton County, Denton CAD Board of Directors. There we go.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Hill, all in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa, Smith, Carroll, Neville's, Prem Kumar, Hill in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you for catching that, because I remember doing the Denton County, but I thought we had voted on it.
I just
Appreciate
wanted
that.
to make sure we dotted our i's and crossed our t's there.
All right, item number 16 is item number 15 is our report on the city's response to the cybersecurity event. Mr. Land.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. This evening, I'd like to present Josh. Josh is our Interim Director of Enterprise Services, and we will have Josh give this little report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Like I said, my name is Josh Luttrell. I'm the Interim Director of Enterprise Solutions. I'm here to present an update on the cyber incident and share where we are. As of date, the city has restored all systems and data, and we continue to work with legal and our team of experts. The city identified a single server in its environment, the contents of which could be considered at risk because of this incident. The city, as well as its internal and external teams, are continuing to triage and index the server to understand the scope of the data contained therein in order to provide adequate notification to those whose data could be impacted. The city is working tirelessly to identify any impacted parties and provide them with individualized notice of impact where applicable and as required by law. So this process remains ongoing. The city takes its obligations to protect data stored in its environment seriously, and we will continue to work expeditiously to identify and notify those who may be impacted. As previously mentioned, the city will provide notice, information, and additional resources directly to those who were impacted by the incident. Please continue to be directed by the reference guide on our website to learn how to order a free credit report, contact the Federal Trade Commission, place a fraud alert on your credit file, or to authorize a security freeze. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a good comparison to have, so I'm flattered.
Well, the microphone was off, so I don't know where it made it.
Josh, I just wanted to commend you and your team for the hard work. Like I said earlier, can't imagine what you and your team had to go through when you found out that the city was under attack. I think it speaks volumes to the processes that you have in place that we are now where we are. Like you said, we're fully recovered. Thanks to you and your team for all the good work, and thanks for all the processes in place by the city staff. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I know that we tried not to wear you out too much, but I think we probably took it out on Mr. Land, so you probably have him to thank for the isolation there. So
I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just want to say that, in speaking with citizens, I do want to commend our citizens for just generally the conversations I've had for their understanding. And it's unfortunate, but it seems that our citizens understand that this is a not if but when type of scenario. And I know, just speaking personally at the Senior Citizen Center, there was a lot of understanding and a lot of appreciation for the hard work that your team has done. And I'd like to echo my colleagues up here in thanking you for you and your team's hard work and service. But I definitely want to thank our citizens for understanding that, unfortunately, this is part of living in a technology-driven modern society and having that type of infrastructure. Unfortunately, there are bad actors out there that will try to take advantage and steal data. So I just want to say thank you guys for all your hard work, and thank you again to our citizens for their understanding with the disruptions that have happened.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? You know, most of us have been through this at work or personally, and it's bad enough when it's somebody else is doing it, but when you see it, close up like this, it's very personal. And the one thing that they keep reminding us at work, where I work, is that a bad actor only has to be lucky one time, and we have to be diligent 100% of every millisecond of every day. And so, just the enormity of the task is tremendous. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item number 16 is our city manager's report with project updates, future agendas, and directions from work session. Mr. Land.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Just to tag on to that just for a moment, this morning we had a Metroplex mayor's meeting. And when I walked in, the city manager from Richardson and the city manager from McKinney, so we had three of us, all three of us were had an attack. And we're in the middle of dealing with the attack. And when we started comparing notes about the way that it was working and what was happening and who we were working with, it is just a reminder that if you know what's happening out there, they call it a campaign, I believe. And there is a campaign out there against local governments. And so that doesn't make it any easier to take. But just knowing that our brethren are all having to deal with it at the same time. So it's unfortunate. And like you said, Mayor, the bad guys only had to get it right once. So update on projects. Magnolia Park Trail, the contractor has completed the access road to the work site and is continuing to work on dewatering the pond. Woodhurst, the contractor is working on the sidewalk construction, irrigation repairs, and final landscaping. So hopefully the project will be complete before the end of this month. DART, the contractor, will begin painting the bridge over South Beltline this week with daily lane closures. On Fire Station 5, if you haven't gone by, the roof decking is almost complete. The service center, the new parking lot, and paving will be completed within the next week. The new building construction will start by the end of this month. The 635 Beltline U-turn, I'm looking at you, Dan. TxDOT will finish the last of the overnight closures of 635 this week for bridge work. That's what we're told, sir. Freeport Northwestern traffic signal, that's over by Barry's operations. The contractor is installing the underground conduit for the signal. South Beltline, the foundation for the electric sign is installed, and the sign is expected to be installed by the first of the year. Before I read this last one, just want to send a compliment out to a very well-known local business, McLaren. If y'all weren't aware, on Saturday night, Sunday morning, I guess, Lando Norris won first place. But as importantly, McLaren, for the first time, if I understand it, since 1998, won the Constructors' Cup as the #1 team in F1 for 2024. So that's a significant accomplishment on their part. And so our congratulations to McLaren of the Americas. I believe that's right. Yeah. Yes.
So does that mean that McLaren is going to become the officially sponsored city car now?
No, that is not what that means, sir. All right. Make a child smile. This year, we were able to provide gifts to 277 children in our community. We want to thank our community members that adopted children and provided the gifts to these families. And thank you to the Coppell businesses that also adopted families, hosted toy and clothing drives, and are delivering the gifts later this week. The program would not be successful without the large shared effort between the community members, businesses, and the City of Coppell's staff. And my heartfelt thanks goes to Callie for, Callie just kind of joined our office, and one of the first things she had to be thrown into was make a child smile. So welcome to that, and we're really looking forward to, I guess it's going to be Thursday, right, Callie? And then Callie leaves on vacation on the following day. No, in terms of going through that process. But we really do appreciate all the support from the community, and just relating some stories when parents were bringing in with their small children, talking about how excited they were to be able to bring a gift so someone else can have the joy of the holiday. It's really pretty special. So we want to thank everybody. And also, as a reminder, you probably have it on your agenda, tomorrow night is the tree lighting and drone show. And so, did I just take that from you?
Yeah.
Okay. You can have it back. But that concludes my comments, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much. Item number 16, Mayor and Council reports on recent and upcoming events. As the city manager just said, our parade was canceled due to weather on Saturday, and the tree lighting and drone show have been rescheduled to tomorrow night, December 11th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. These activities will include the tree lighting, which is going to occur about 6:15, the drone show, train rides, a petting farm, Santa visits, letters to Santa, a DJ playing holiday music, and food vendors including but not limited to Donut NV, Mama's More Popcorn, and more. Council, anything from the council? Seeing none. Item number 18 is public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. Do we have any PSAs? Seeing none. We had no necessary action from executive session. Therefore, there being no further business before this council, we are adjourned at 9:02 p.m.